should increase our focus on direct investment, both on the local private sector, regional, and as well as international.
Hello and welcome to the Bankers Masterclass series on Egypt's reform agenda in association with Arab African International Bank. I'm James King, the Africa and Middle East editor at The Banker, and with me is Hassan Abdalla, Chief Executive of Arab African International Bank. In this first chapter, we will be discussing the impacts of the government's economic reform program.
Hi, James.
Hassan, over the last couple of years, we've seen the Egyptian government push through some sweeping economic reforms, changes to the subsidy regime, changes to the tax regime, adjustments to government spending. To what extent are we seeing the impact of these changes play out in the Egyptian economy today?
Well, just yesterday, James, we got a new batch of figures, and they show extreme improvement on the macro level. The reforms, as you have mentioned, have been comprehensive, they have been structural, they have been addressing monetary, legislation, fiscal, and I'm quite confident that there is going to be results even better starting from what we are today. And to give you just an idea about some numbers, we have broken several thresholds. Like first time in 7-8 years, our GDP crosses 5.3. First time in 15 years, fiscal has surplus, and the reserves are at record high. So the macroeconomic picture looks quite promising.
Now, one of the biggest sort of keynote reforms occurred in November 2016 when the central bank floated the pound, and that's had a huge sort of influence on the way that the economy has shaped up since then. So from this sort of, we're almost 2 years on from that event, what does it look like on the ground? What kind of impact has it really had on the way that the private sector can function in Egypt?
You see, I totally believe, and I think it's just the simple fact that foreign exchange is the gateway for investment, for foreign repatriation. And if this is open, does not mean you're going to get them. But if it's closed, it means for sure you're not going to get them. And they're going to find another way, like a parallel market, like going somewhere else. And I believe this was the one decision to float the currency and to make it available that started the starting point of the reforms. And if I may add, as you know, in our new global financial system, it's working the other way around. Countries want weaker currencies. They want to be more competitive. They want more tourists. They want to export more. The era of wanting to have a strong currency is not there anymore, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. And looking ahead now, we've touched on some of the changes, the positive changes that have taken place, but of course, the challenge now is really maintaining sort of the forward growth momentum of the economy into the coming years. What do you see as perhaps the big obstacles and the key impediments to Egypt's growth?
I would like to just touch on a different issue, is that the reforms on the macro level are intact. This needs to be translated to the micro level and to the companies. And what we're seeing now is that we should increase our focus on direct investment, both on the local private sector, regional, and as well as international. In my opinion, this is going to add to the formula sustainability. This being said, there are also initiatives, and it's understood in the government of Egypt, a lot of initiatives that are catering for non-catered segments, like the middle market, smaller middle market in Egypt, like to have financial inclusion initiatives, to have cashless society. There are various fronts that are being done in order to maintain and, in fact, do better. This being said, you also have the mega projects, the oil discoveries, and these are all going to kick in very soon. So this is going to be another asset. And also, Egypt has in the last 2-3 years built infrastructure in terms of electricity. We have the biggest, we've financed the biggest solar energy in the world. It was in Bimban. And there is also, as in the news just last week, we've had the inauguration and opening of 3 of the biggest electricity in the world. So you have the infrastructure, and you are also, this is accompanied, of course, by roads, by the natural gas, by the human resources. In my opinion, it's a matter of time.
Okay, thank you, Hassan. And in the next chapter, we'll be discussing the outlook for Egypt's banking sector.